This video is an extension on the angle of elevation and angle of depression, where it consists of a different set of questions. So let us quickly start with the first one. A scout walks north to east at an angle of 37 degrees from his camp for a distance of 350 meters. How far is he east of his camp and north of his camp? So whenever you see the wordings like north, south, east and west, always start by marking the directions. So for example, let me show you the directions how we are going to mark. So let us take this as the north, this is the south, this is the west, and this is the east. So start drawing the direction first and let the scout's camp be over here, right at the center, where all the four directions meet. Now the scout is walking from north to east, making an angle of 37 degrees. That means he is moving from north towards the east, making an angle of 37 degrees. So let him start walking from the camp, and he is moving from north to east in this direction. And this is how he makes the direction, and the direction he makes is 37 degrees from north till he reaches the east. So that means they are talking about this angle, which is 37 degrees. Now he is walking for a distance of 350 meters. So he starts walking from the camp, and he starts walking and he reaches to a point where he has covered already 350 meters. So this is the amount of distance he has traveled. How far is he east of his camp? Now as he started moving, we need to find out how much he has covered the east distance. That is, they are talking about this distance. So make a point to make it as a right angle triangle over here. So I am going to make a right angle triangle this way. Now this is a right angle triangle, and let me mark the 90 degrees over here. This is the 90-degree angle, and this is the distance we need to find, so I will take it as x. Now there has to be an angle inside the right angle triangle, but we have an angle outside, that is 37 degrees. Now as you can see, the north direction and the vertical line over here, they both are parallel to each other, and there is a line which is passing right between them. That means they are going to make an alternating angle. So if this is 37 degrees, then this is going to be 37 degrees as well, because it makes a Z angle. Now once we have got the angle of concern, we will start by marking the hypotenuse, opposite and adjacent side. So always start with the right angle triangle, that is 90 degree. Opposite to that is the hypotenuse. So this is the hypotenuse over here, and hypotenuse is this length, and that is given as 350 meters in the question. Opposite to the 37 degrees is the length he walks, or the distance he walks towards the east. So let us take this as the opposite, and the remaining side of the right angle triangle, default becomes the adjacent. Now we have to again start by the SOHCAHTOA to find the x value. So here we get it as so let's see if the so works here. Sine of 37 degrees is equal to opposite, which we need to find, over the hypotenuse, which is given as 350. So we can obviously use the so. So we write it as sine of 37 degrees is equal to opposite, which is the x, which we need to find, over the hypotenuse, which is given as 350. So to find the x, the 350 gets multiplied with sine 37, and we write x equal to 350 multiplied with sine 37 degrees. So let us see how much we get for this. So we have here as 350 multiplied with sine of 37. So 210.635. So we can write it as 210.64. So we are rounding it off. So this is in meters. So this is the distance he travels along the east. Now in part B they have asked what is the distance traveled by him in the north direction. So north of his camp. That means it is in this direction how much he has covered the distance. So let me take the adjacent side as y, and now in this case we need to find the y. Again we are going to use the same right angle triangle, but now let us see if ca works, that is cos. So cos of 37 is equal to adjacent, which is y, we need to find, and the hypotenuse is 350. That means we can use the ca. We can write here as cos of 37 degrees is equal to adjacent, which is y, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 350. So to find out the y, we are going to multiply 350 with cos 37. So let us see how much we get. 350 multiplied with cos of 37 degrees. So here we get it as 350 multiplied with cos of 37. We get it as 279.52. So y is 279.52 in the north direction. So this is how we find the direction or the distance traveled by him in the east direction and the north direction. This is for the north and this is for the east. Now let us look at the next question. An observer at the top of a 50-meter tower notes that the angle of depression of a house lying due east is 49 degrees and angle of depression of a house lying due west is 31 degrees. Find the distance between the houses. Now in this case they have already given you the diagram, so you do not have to draw it. There is a tower which is 50 meters tall, so this is 50 meters height of the tower, and there is an observer who is over here and he is looking at two houses which are on the ground. Now since he is looking down, then it becomes the angle of depression, and since we know we have to make an angle of depression with respect to the line of sight. Now when he looks at the first house which is due east, so this is the north, this is the south, this is the west, and this is the east. So he is looking at a house which is due east and he is making an angle of 49 degrees with respect to the line of sight. And he looks at the house which is on the west side and he is making an angle of depression of 31 degrees for that house. Now we have to find out what is the distance between the houses. They have already marked the X for us. This is what we need to find out, how far apart the two houses are. Now for solving this, we can break this triangle as two right angle triangles. So we can take this first one, first right angle triangle, and let me draw it again over here. So this is a right angle triangle and this height is 50 meters, and let me take this side as x1. So this SE, that is south to east, is x1. Now as we know, the angle of depression is making a Z angle with this. So here if this is angle of depression, then this angle is going to be angle of elevation, which is also going to be as 49 degrees, since it is making an alternating angle. So here we can take this angle as 49 degrees, and now again using SOHCAHTOA we can find out x1. So we'll start marking with the hypotenuse, opposite and the adjacent. Now this is going to be the hypotenuse, and this is going to be the opposite, and this is going to be the adjacent. So to solve this we have to again use the SOHCAHTOA. You might have already guessed that hypotenuse is not there with us, so we cannot use SO or KA, we can use the TOA. So we can write it as tan of 49 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 50, divided by adjacent, which is x1. So to find x1 we can write it as 50 over tan of 49 degrees. So let us see how much we get. We get it as 50 divided by tan of 49 degrees. So we get here as 43.46. So let us write here as 43.46. So this is in meters. So we have got the part of the distance between the two houses. Similar way to solve this triangle, let me break apart this triangle and draw it over here. So it looks like this, and this is the height of the tower, which is 50, and let me take the distance between the south and the house on the west as x2. This is making a 90-degree triangle, and since this is 31 degrees, again it is making a alternating angle, so this is going to be 31 degrees as well. So let me write here as 31 degrees. The next part comes where we are going to mark the opposite, hypotenuse and adjacent. So this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. So since we do not have the hypotenuse again, we cannot use SO and KA. Let us use tan. So we write it as tan of 31 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 50, over adjacent, which is x2. Now to find x2 we write it as 50 divided by tan of 31 degrees. So let us find out how much we get. Here it is 50 divided by tan of 31 degrees. We have 83.21. So we can write here as 83.21. This is our x2. So now we have also got this part. So this is x2 and this is x1. So x, that is the total distance between the two houses, is nothing but the addition of the first distance we found plus the second distance. So the first distance we had got it as 43.46 plus the second distance we got was 83.21. So when we add them up we get the answer as, so let's see, it is 43.46 plus 83.21. So we have it as 126.67. So answer is 126.67 meters. So this is the total distance between the two houses. Let us look at the next question. The angles of depression of the top and the bottom of an 8-meter tall building from the top of a multi-storied building are 30 degrees and 45 degrees respectively. That means we have two buildings here. One is a 8-meter tall building and another is a multi-storied building. So both are standing on the ground. Now the angles of depression of the top and bottom of an 8-meter tall building. So this is the 8-meter tall building, and angle of depression to this building, which means think that you're standing on this building, this multi-storied building, on top of it, and you're looking at the top and at the bottom of this building. So that means you're going to make an angle. Since you're looking down, it's going to be the angle of depression. So let me draw the line of sight from this multi-storied building first, which is a straight line. Okay. Yes. Now from this line of sight you are going to draw the angle of depression. So let me draw the angle of depression to the top of the building. So it's given as 30 degrees. So let us mark it as 30 degrees here. So this angle is 30 degrees. Next, when you are looking at the bottom of this building, so let us draw another line over here. That is, you are looking at the bottom of this building. You are making an angle of depression of 45 degrees. That means from the line of sight till this point, the angle made is 45 degrees. Find the height of the multi-storied building and the distance between the two buildings. That means they have asked you to find the total height of this multi-storied building and the distance between these two buildings. These are the two variables they have asked you to calculate. Now let us start by finding the height of this building first. So what we are going to do here is, we are going to make a right angle triangle because that is what we need here, and that will be made with respect to a rectangle. Here what I am going to do is, from this top of the building I am going to draw a horizontal line, and that line is going to be parallel to the ground. Now since I marked it, now this is the height of this building. That means this is also going to be 8 meters because as you can see, this represents the rectangle. So opposite sides of the rectangle are same. So from this point till this point is 8 meters. Now I will take the rest of the portion of this multi-storied building as x. Now as you can see, there are two right-angled triangles formed. That is, let me write the names as A, B, C and D at this point, and this point is going to be E. Now CDE is one right angle triangle as you can see, and ABE is another right angle triangle as you can see. Now let me just draw the triangles separately for you to understand properly. So let this be our first right angled triangle, that is named as C, D and E. Now this is the right angle triangle and this side is given as x. Now I am going to mark this angle as 30 degrees because as you can see, this is making a Z angle. So as you can see, this and this makes a Z angle, and this angle is going to be equal to this angle. So if this is 30 degrees, this is going to be a 30-degree angle as well because it is an alternating angle. That is why I wrote 30 degrees in this place. Now using the trigonometric ratios, SOHCAHTOA, we are going to mark the opposite, hypotenuse and adjacent. Here this is the hypotenuse, CE is the hypotenuse, X is the opposite, and CD is the adjacent. Now we have to find the opposite, and hypotenuse we do not have with us, so and ka we are going to drop it, and we are going to take the tan. So we are going to write it as tan of 30 degrees is equal to opposite, which is X, over adjacent, which is CD. So let me rearrange this and write it as CD is equal to X over tan 30. So let's see what we get. 1 over tan 30 in the calculator. So here we have, since it is X divided by tan 30, I will take it as 1 divided by tan 30. So it becomes 1 divided by tan 30. We get it as radical 3. So CD is given as radical 3 times X. So keep this as your one of the equations for this small triangle. Now let us look at the big triangle which is given, that is ABE. So let me draw it again over here. So it's given as so this is A, this is B, and this is E, and this is 90 degrees. Now let us start marking the sides. Now B to E is nothing but 8 meters plus X meters. So this total length is going to be X plus 8 meters. So you have to add the smaller sides to get the longer side. Now after doing this, I'm going to mark the angle over here as 45 degrees. That is because if you see from the line of sight, it is making a Z angle over here. So this angle is 45 degrees. Hence this angle is going to be 45 degrees as well. That is why we are going to mark here as 45 degrees. Now again we'll start marking with the hypotenuse, opposite and adjacent. This is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. And here again we are going to use the tan. So tan of 45 degrees is equal to opposite, which is X plus 8, over adjacent, which is AB. Now let me again rearrange this. So it becomes AB equals X plus 8 over tan 45 degrees. So let us calculate 1 over tan 45 and see how much we get. So it is 1 divided by tan 45 gives us 1. So we have AB is equal to X plus 8, since tan 45 is 1. So this is our next expression which we got. Now we got CD and we got AB. Now let us see what CD and AB represents in this diagram. You can see CD and AB are the sides of the rectangle and they are opposite to each other, which means AB is equal to CD. Hence we can write it as AB is equal to CD because they are the opposite sides of the rectangle, and AB we have got it as X plus 8 and CD we have got it as root 3x, root 3 times x. So what we are going to do here is we are going to bring the like terms together. So it becomes root 3x minus x is equal to 8. So let's see how much we get. Here we can take the x common out, or we can factorize it and write it as x root 3 minus 1 is equal to 8. So here we can write it as x equal to 8 over square root 3 minus 1. So let us check how much we get here. We get it as 8 divided by square root of 3 minus 1. So we have 4 plus 4 root 3, or if you want to get it in decimals, we get it as 10.928 or 10.93 meters. So this small portion is 10.93 meters. So the entire height of this building is going to be 10.93 plus 8 meters. So finally the total length is going to be, or total height is going to be x plus 8, which is 10.93 plus 8, or simply we can write it as 18.93 meters. This is the total height of the building. So this is how we find it. Now next they have asked us the distance between the two buildings. This is the distance between the two buildings, so we can take it as y. So y is the distance between the two buildings. Now we can consider the big triangle. Since we have got x, we can use the big triangle, or we can also use the small triangle, because AB is equal to CD. Hence if AB is y, CD is also y. So you can either use the small triangle to find out the distance between the two buildings, or you can use the big triangle. Now here I am going to make use of this big triangle. So let me redraw it again. It's going to be this way. Okay, so we have it as A, B, E, and this is the right angle triangle, and this was the total height of the building, which was 18.93, which we got it over here, and the angle which we had for this big triangle was 45 degrees, and this is the y distance which we need to find out. So we can use here, so cut over again. Let us first start marking the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. Since the hypotenuse is not given, so no need to use the so and ka. So here also we can go ahead and use the tan. So tan of 45 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 18.93 over the adjacent, which is y. So rearranging it, we get y equals 18.93 over tan 45. So let us put in the calculator and check how much we get. 18.93 divided by tan 45. So it's again going to be 18.93 only. So it's going to be 18.93 meters. So this is the distance between the two buildings. I hope you have understood how to use the trigonometric ratios again to solve the angle of depression questions. Now let us look at the next question. To calculate the height of a tree in his front yard, Adam walked 50 feet from the base of the tree and used an inclinometer to measure the angle from his eye to the top of the tree, which is 62 degrees. That means, let me draw a tree first for you to understand. So there is a tree, and this is the ground, and Adam is trying to find out the total height of the tree. So let me draw this total height and take it as h. Adam walked 50 feet from the base of the tree and used an inclinometer. That means, think that Adam was standing over here initially, and then he walks away and he comes over here, and the distance between Adam and the tree is now 50 feet. So let me delete it. Okay, now Adam walked 50 feet from the base of the tree and used an inclinometer to measure the angle from his eye to the top of the tree. So think Adam's eye is over here, so we can take it as a total height of Adam, which is 6. Now they are saying that Adam walked 50 feet from the base of the tree and used an inclinometer to measure the angle from his eye to the top of the tree. So Adam's eye is over here and he is looking at the top of the tree. So he looks over here, and since he is looking up, it is an angle of elevation, and as you know, we need to have a line of sight, which is horizontal line. So the angle of elevation that Adam makes is now 62 degrees. If Adam's eye level is at 6 feet, that means you can think of it as Adam's height. So Adam's height is 6 feet. About how tall is the tree? So they want us to find out the height of the tree. Now this diagram, which is the general diagram, it needs to be changed into a proper right angled triangle, as you know. So let me start drawing the given details. First I will draw Adam, and then I'm going to draw the tall tree, and let me draw the ground. They are both on the ground. Next, the height of Adam is given as 6, and the height of the tree is what we need to find, and the distance between Adam and the tree is 50. This is what is given. Next, the angle of elevation. So we have to write the angle of elevation with respect to the line of sight. So let me draw it over here. And the angle of elevation made is 62 degrees as given in the question. Now, to solve this, we can see that this is a rectangle. That means this height which we have here is also 6, because the opposite side is 6. So we have this height as 6, and if this side is 50, we have this side as also 50. So we can write it as 50 over here as well. Now what about this height? Since the total height was h and out of that 6 is removed, the remaining height is going to be h minus 6. So let me draw this right angle triangle once more for a proper understanding. So here we have a right angled triangle given this way. I'm drawing this right angle triangle once more. So this is the angle as 62 degrees. The base is 50 and the height is h minus 6 for this right angle triangle. Now, since this is a right angle triangle, we will start by marking the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. And here, since again the hypotenuse is not there, do not use the so and ka, the sine and cosine. We can directly use the tan. So tan of 62 degrees is equal to opposite, which is h minus 6, over adjacent, which is 50. So we will multiply 50 and tan 62 again. So 50 times tan 62 degrees is equal to h minus 6. So let us calculate and see how much is 50 times tan 62. So it is 50 times tan 62 gives us 94.036, or we can round it off as 94.04 equals h minus 6. Now we can take the minus 6 on this side, and so it becomes 94.04 plus 6 equal to h. Hence h is going to be equal to, the sum of these two is 100.04 feet. So this is the total height of the tree, that is 100.04. So this is how you need to draw the original diagram first using your imagination, and then change it to the right angle triangle. My suggestion is keep on breaking the diagram as much as possible and simplify it this way, so that it becomes really easy for you to calculate the things. Let us move on to the next question, which is a critical thinking question. You can definitely pause the video and give a try yourself before I start solving this example. So let me start explaining you this. A person in a helicopter flying at a height of 700 meters observes two objects lying opposite to each other on either side of a bank of a river. Now think that there is a river which is flowing, and there is an object over here and there is an object over here, that is object on either side of the river, and this is the river which is flowing, and there is a helicopter which is flying on the top, which is at a height of 700 meters above. So the height is 700 meters. Now the angles of depression of the objects are 30 degrees and 45 degrees. Find the width of the river. Now when the person is looking down, he is making obviously an angle of depression. So he is looking at this object and he is looking at this object as well. And since the angle of depression is given, let us draw the line of sight and mark one of the angles as 30 degrees and the other angle as 45 degrees. You can interchange the angles as well. You can write here 45 and here 30, since there is no particular mention about the object. Now the point asked over here is, you need to find out the distance between the two objects, or the width of the river, because if you find the distance between these two objects, it is as good as you are finding the width of the river. So we need to find out this, the total length. So we can take this as x, as a total. Now what we can do here is, let me just get rid of these lines. You can see here there is a right angle triangle formed very clearly. This is one triangle which is a right angle triangle, and the other one is this. This is the other right angle triangle. Now for the first one, you can see that there is a alternating angle formed, a Z angle. So if this is 30 degrees, this is also going to be 30 degrees. And on the other side also there is a Z angle or an alternating angle formed. So if this angle is 45, this is also going to be 45 degrees. Now let me do one thing. I'm going to break this as two triangles. Let me take this side as x1 and let me take this side as x2 and solve them separately. I will take the first triangle over here and redraw it. So this is a right angle triangle and this is the angle they have given as 30 degrees, and this is the height 700, and we have to find out x1. This is what we need to find out. So we have the hypotenuse here, the opposite here, and the adjacent here. So as you have guessed, we have to use the tan. So we write it as tan of 30 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 700, divided by the adjacent, which is x1. So rearranging this, x1 comes to the place of tan 30 and tan 30 takes the place of x1. We have x1 equals 700 over tan 30. So let us see how much we get here. We have here as 700 divided by tan 30. So we get it as 1212.44. We can round it. So it becomes 1212.44 meters. Since height is given as meters, you can take the width also in meters. So we got the x1. Similarly, we find the other right angle triangle. So we draw it this way. So we have the height again the same thing as 700 meters, and we have the angle as 45 and the side here as x2. So here the angle is 45 and here it is x2. Now we will start marking the hypotenuse. This is hypotenuse, this is opposite, and then this is, and the remaining side becomes the adjacent. So here again we are going to use the tan. So tan of 45 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 700 over the adjacent, which is x2. So x2 and tan 45 will exchange the places and it becomes x2 is equal to 700 over tan 45. So let us see what we get. So it is 700 divided by tan 45. So we get it as 700. So it is 700 meters over here. This is your x2. And we know that x is the sum of x1 and x2. We write here as x equals x1 plus x2. So x1 we had got it as 1244 plus 700. So that gives us 1912.44 meters. So this is the distance or the width of the entire river. So if you're liking the videos, so please do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.